Matt, I don't know if you saw what happened down in Carolina this morning. It was a pretty serious injury with a helmet-to-helmet situation. With the pads coming on today, I know you're all just shoulder pads, but do you have to kind of reiterate being a good teammate and taking care of each other?
Yeah, that's something I think that our guys have really taken to heart, and they've done a great job with that. But I was not aware of what happened in Carolina. A lot of questions today, huh, guys?
That'd be kind of a weird question, but there's air quality advisories out there, and are you guys mindful of that with exertion and things like that?
That's something that I expect our medical staff to, if there's a real issue out there, then they'll inform me. But, yeah, I don't know why.
Coach, what are you seeing from Eric Stokes? I mean, he's been going up against Devontae and kind of taking some lumps lately, but how are you seeing his development over the past couple days?
I think that's going to be the case for most corners going against Devontae, and I just try to reiterate to him that, you're going against the best at their position in Aaron and Devontae, and so there's going to be some tough moments, but I think he's got the right mentality and the right mindset to continuing to push to get better, and he knows that when you're going against the best, it's only going to make you better. So I think he's got the right mindset for that.
Hey Matt, what did you think of how Dean finished last season? And I know it's kind of more understated role that he has, but what kind of value is there in a guy like that with what he provides to the line?
Yeah, he does so much in terms of, first of all, he's always available. He's extremely intelligent. He knows what's going on. He's going to give great effort. So that whole room, and I think Jerry Montgomery does a great job with that room. But those guys that's a pretty professional room, and all those guys in there.
Matt, we're gonna hear from Dave later today. Just wondering what you've seen from him. I know he's not on the field practicing, but just in terms of how he's continued to be like a leader for that offensive line room, even though he's not out on the field.
Well, you guys know David. He's not short on words ever. So, but he does a great job. He is a pro's pro and is always doing the right things, taking care of his body. He loves to have fun around here, which is great, especially, training camp can get a bit mundane at times, and he's always bringing a lot of life to it. So, but no, he's just, he again, another pro's pro, and obviously I think his play speaks for itself, but he does a great job of helping the young guys along the way, and that too is another great room.
Do you just prepare as if you're not going to have him for week one and then be surprised if he is able to play, or how do you kind of balance that uncertainty?
Yeah, I think that's the mindset. Until we have a better indication of when he's going to be back here, I think that's the way you have to prepare, and just know that, eventually he will be out there, and that will give us a big boost.
We saw Randy Ramsey leave yesterday. Is there any information you can provide on that?
Yeah, that was not a good injury, and it's a shame because he's done so much in terms of bringing, that special teams value, but also he's reliable when we've been putting him in there on defense as well, and brings some much needed depth to that position. So, other guys are going to have to pick up the slack, and that's just the way the National Football League works, unfortunately. But I feel bad for him. He's worked really hard. I think he's improved a lot over the course of 2 seasons, and hopefully we'll get him back at some point. But I know it was definitely not one of those injuries you like to have.
We asked you about Elton yesterday. In general, every offensive lineman at this level is good, but what makes a guy be able to play all 5 positions, and how rare that is? What does a guy need to be able to do that?
Well, first, they have to have the skill set for it, which he does, and that's rare in itself. But I think it's just the mindset and his the moment's never too big for him. And a lot of guys might struggle mentally just because the timing of everything you're doing is a little bit different when you're inside versus outside. And so just that transition alone is tough for anybody to do it. But I think he just attacks it with the right attitude, and he's got a lot of confidence in himself, and just he is an alpha.
You talk about the skill set. Is from a tangible perspective, is it an athleticism thing? Is it a length thing? Is it what?
I think all of the above. I think it's all of that, the length, athleticism, his ability to, just get out and move. And he's a big man. And, it definitely, his past, having experienced that in college, playing a bunch of different positions, is definitely helped him. But he also has transitioned it to this level, which not everybody can do. And again, I think it's a great credit to himself, the guys in that room, and the coaching he's getting with from Steno and Buckus.
Matt, yesterday, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like in that first team period that Jordan was getting snaps with the ones, like kind of the last play of every cycle. What's your thinking there? And what do you see from him with the ones so far?
I think a lot of it's just more or less, we want to make sure Aaron's staying fresh as well. But you kind of get the benefits of both. You're keeping your starter fresh, but still preparing the young guy and getting him into the mix with the ones. I think that's an important part of it. Obviously, Jordan's going to get a ton of reps in the preseason, game reps, which are invaluable. So, we want to make sure he's feeling comfortable with all those guys. Josh Myers, more than likely will be our starting center, and they're going to have to build a rapport throughout training camp because they're going to be playing together in the preseason.
You feel like you're on schedule? Today's your first day in pads, and Aaron Rodgers talks about, our first team can get ready in practice, and let these younger guys have their opportunity for preseason game. And you feel like you're, with the Jets coming in next week and then those games on the way, it's the right mix of the vets getting ready and then the young guys getting their opportunity.
Well, we have the Jets in 2 weeks, but certainly, we're still early on in this thing. I mean, what is it, practice 6? So there's a long way to go, but I do like the attitude of the team. I think the energy level's been there. I think, just going back to yesterday, I think one thing that all teams need to learn is just how do you respond after a day off, and making sure that you stay locked in and are ready to go, because there were some moments where it got a little sloppy. I think all of us, myself included, in terms of when you get to some of these unscripted periods, you got to make sure you're on your game. So it starts with getting the call in and just that flow that goes along with that. There's definitely some rust there because we haven't done it a whole bunch, and we'll continue to mix in more call-it periods. We've got basically 2 today where we're doing a get back on track. So starting second down and long, 2nd and 10 plus, and then we'll play out 3rd down. And but it just kind of doesn't allow the guys to just sit there and study the script to know what's coming. They have to think on their feet, and I think that's when you find out what you really have with your football team. And then we also have the 2-minute period where, anything can come. So we're going to start incorporating more of those call-it periods into practice as we progress through.
What have you seen from the 2 young guys kind of rotating at left guard? We got Braden and you got Runyon in there, and it's impossible for us to see from where we're sitting on the sideline.
But you got bad view over there?
I mean, I'm not saying that it's been done on purpose, but
Wallers, just get on him, man. We haven't even had pads on, so I think it's just too premature to really tell. But I think those guys, again, they attack it the right way, and I know they're all competing. And I think the one thing that you can really see with a lot of our position groups is there's really good competition, and it tends to separate itself the further we go along. And it's going to be great to see, even though we don't have our, we're only in shoulder pads today, but there's definitely going to be more contact and physicality, and it'll give us a better indication of what we really have.
All right, guys, we're going to go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, we just have 2 in here. Steve McCarthy.
Wondering, you had talked about how Eric Stokes is kind of learning to fly, and how he's kind of had the right mindset there. But I was just wondering, what's the biggest thing that's caught your attention about the way he's performed thus far? You're a player, you're at the mini camp for this last week or so.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's putting everything into it, and he does have a great skill set. He's got great feet, and he can really run. You saw it. There was a play we tried to offensively try to throw a go ball on him on the left side, and he was running step for step with Marquez, who, in my opinion, he's one of the faster guys in the National Football League. So I just like his mentality that he's not afraid to make a mistake, and I think that's as much as anybody, you usually learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. So, he continues to battle, and, I think that, we'll see as we progress further into camp, but really excited about his potential.
Phil Huber.
Morning, Matt. This will probably fall into the Captain Obvious kind of stuff, but you have most of your passing game targets back, speaking receivers, backs, tight ends. I realize you got to get Randall, Speed, and Amari, but just what kind of benefit is it to you that most of the guys you're going to be leaning on are in year 2/year 3 of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it definitely is beneficial because you really have a clear understanding of what these guys are really good at and how to formation them and try to get them all involved. I think that is always the hard part, is when you do feel like you have a lot of different weapons. It's you trying to get everybody the touches that they need. So these guys are really familiar with our offense. They do a great job of being able to take what we teach them in the classroom to the drill work and then to the team portion. So they're also just the continuity they have with our quarterbacks. I think that's a big piece of it too.
And last one, Pete Doherty.
Matt, if I understand it right, you could have gone in pads yesterday, is that right?
That is incorrect.
Oh, so you can't go until day 6?
Well, yeah, it was a rule for this year where they said after the first off day you couldn't go into pads.
Okay, well that answers that then, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yes.